Hey everybody, what's up? It's your man JK Primetime back here with another video. So today I basically want to talk to you about how just in mainly football it's been highlighted, but also even in other sports there's been the issue with sports and domestic violence. And so basically I'm going to cover you mostly it's going to be about the Ray Rice, but also about the double standard in sports when it comes to domestic violence these days. So, obviously, everyone knows about how Ray Rice, obviously, with his video, he punched his wife in the elevator and dragged her out unconscious, and when they had an altercation. You also have other NFL players like Greg Hardy and even Adrian Peterson with his child abuse, which is not necessarily the same, but it's very similar. And now, what no one you see everyone do all these news reports on their case and what happened, but you don't see anything like when you don't hear about is Hope Solo for the U.S. soccer team. She actually in June, which was recent enough compared to the other two like Ray Rice, who his happened back in February. He was arrested. She was arrested and charged with 2 counts of domestic abuse in connection with the assault of her sister and her 17-year-old nephew. So she pleaded not guilty, and she's waiting trial to November. But even though, look at Greg Hardy, I don't know, Ray Rice, he didn't have, there was no charges out against him, so he didn't get in any trouble or anything. He's not charged with any crimes. He was only arrested, even though there is evidence that he did punch her and he did technically abuse her. He got obviously suspended indefinitely and cut from his team and lost sponsorships with Nike. With Peterson, same thing. There's been recent charges set out against him. Nothing's happened yet. There hasn't gone far enough to really plead if he's guilty, if he thinks he's guilty or not. But him, same thing. He's on the exempt list, which is not as bad as getting terminated, but the exempt list, him and Hardy are both on the exempt list, and basically the exempt list is while you're still active, you're still an active player on the roster. It's almost like a suspension. It's like an informal suspension because you're not allowed to be associated with any football activities. And also with him, Adrian Peterson lost his ties with Nike too, but Solo has it. Wow, and you also have another player to point out, Greg Hardy. He was actually guilty of domestic violence, and right now he's on the exempt list too. He wasn't as big, so it's not like he lost any big sponsorships. And he was less talked about than Rice and Peterson, but they're two of the most known faces in football, so it makes sense that they'd be talked about more. But still, with Hope Solo, obviously, it's her, not just her sister, but a 17-year-old nephew, which technically is a minor. Now, Nike hasn't said anything at all, not a word about their sponsorship deal with her. And think about it. She plays on not just one team. She plays on 2 teams. She plays on the team she plays on now and for the U.S. soccer team. And the U.S. soccer spokesman even said that they're aware that she's handling a personal situation at the moment, but they haven't said anything what they're going to do with her. And that at the same time, she's an opportunity, a significant record that speaks to her hard work and dedication over the years with the national team. Wow, considering all the factors involved, we believe we should recognize that in the proper way. So basically, and remember guys, this is quote from quote exactly what he said. And basically he's saying that they're going to care more about her getting a record than the image of their sport. And no one has talked out about this because I feel like it's a double standard when it comes to domestic violence, because when a man does it, people get all mad. There's a stand. You had the association against domestic violence for women, come out and say, get Roger Goodell. Roger Goodell's still going through heat, and same thing with those players are too. But Hope So, when it's a woman does it and the rules are reversed, they don't get in trouble for it, and no one talks about it. It almost like it gets swept under the rug. Now, obviously other people have said she should be off the field, which I agree so too, at least until the issue is solved, which other teams did with the other situations. All of them were doing that, and you still have other female fans going there. So basically with her, it's saying that it's okay to domestic abuse. But I feel like to compare that would almost be, for example, if a guy gets raped by a woman. So let's say, I don't know, some sports star. Let's say a famous basketball player in the NBA goes out and is accused of raping a different woman. So let's say Ben Roethlisberger, because Ben Roethlisberger was charged with sexual assault. Let's say he got charged with raping someone. But then if you have a female one, like, I don't know, Brittany Griner, the first person comes to my mind. Brittany Griner goes and rapes a male. People are gonna get all mad at Ben Roethlisberger, and he's probably gonna get kicked out, terminated of his contract, and suspended. And then Brittany Griner might not get any punishment at all, seeing if it goes the same as this U.S. soccer. And with another thing with Hope Solo is that she is also a captain. So to me, people should be, I feel like, more mad about this. Obviously, it's soccer, so it's not as a popular sport as, let's say, football, which is the most popular sport in America. Still, like, she's representing our country because soccer is more of a worldwide sport. So they're gonna look at the U.S. team and they're gonna see, oh, well, captain is Hope Solo, and they're gonna see, like, you're gonna have this woman representing our country when she's going through that kind of adversity at the moment. Well, not adversity, but she's going through that at the moment. So I feel like she should get benched, at least benched. I don't think she should get, like, kicked off the team, but she should definitely, even if she is gonna play. So these are the two scenarios I think that should happen. Either she gets benched, or she plays, but they remove her role as a captain because I feel like she shouldn't deserve it, seeing of her actions and how it's like that. So the only thing is that you even have people saying, for example, Kate Fagan from ESPN. One of the quotes she said was see question mark when she was summarizing the arguments that trouble her. She said women commit domestic violence too, so let's call it even and get back to watching football, which is more just her being mad about, I would assume, more her being more frustrated with all the media coverage just on domestic violence. But I feel like that it's definitely a double standard, and that even though women say, oh, women aren't treated, they're treated separately. Obviously, yes, they are. But I feel like if the two genders, if they want equality, they have to treat each other like that. And they have to treat each other for it to become official. So if you want women to be treated the same as men, then when they do something like domestic violence, they have to be treated in the same way a man would. Just because they don't cause as much damage to the other person doesn't mean they still can't do anything. And so another thing is that there's even, I know obviously we have U.S. anti-domestic violence laws, and it's called a Violence Against Women Act and not the Brawling with Families Act, which was written by Ta-Nehisi Coates. Ta-Nehisi Coates. And that makes total sense because even with our justice system seeing it as a difference because they're calling it against women. And even though a woman could do the same thing that the man could do and domestically abuse that person. Yeah, so I feel like that definitely should be done. And obviously, in some ways it's good because at least now, right now it's not covered as much as by media. So if people do know about it, they're able to form their own opinion on how they feel it should happen with Hope Solo and how they should handle it. But still, I feel like it's still setting a double standard that shouldn't really be accepted, especially in sports, because of how much of everything is basically of everything is on the line. The last thing I'm going to talk about is going back to Ray Rice, is how Roger Goodell, obviously, the minute this happened and they found the video, there's this big scandal that they proved that they covered it up and all this, and while it definitely seems like it, there's no way to 100% prove it, but in my opinion, I feel like that did happen, and that's what they covered it up, and the reason why is obviously money. Same thing with, because it's basically like saying, people were like, it's a good step for Roger Goodell to start changing domestic violence penalties in the NFL. Like, it makes no sense because they're so naive, because they're like, actually, it's like Roger Goodell, he doesn't care about women or battered women. He doesn't have to go through that. He doesn't have to see that. And it's hard for anyone. It's hard to see like domestic violence or rape or racism. Like you can't see it. You can't care about it if you haven't really gone through it as much. So you can't take a stand on it. Obviously, the only reason why he's changing this is to keep fans happy and just people in general, and for them to keep making money, because without the money, the league wouldn't be able to operate. So that's why it's become such a big issue, is because the league is losing money, and so when they lose money, they lose, just in general, it goes down for them. So they don't care, they just want to keep their money. Same thing with the owners. That's why the owner for the Ravens supposedly was in on it too, and that could be the reason why. The only person that had the decency to actually have a problem with this was the coach, John Harbaugh, which if it's true what they said about with the Ravens team, how John Harbaugh was the only one to really take notice of this, I give major props to him, and that just ups my respect for him, because if he's able to look at that and be like, this is not right, then that's really good. But yeah, they don't care about you. They care about just keeping the steady flow of money coming in. And that's all I got to say now. Like the video, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, and all that good stuff. And I'm out.